Welcome to Communist Poland. In this video we're going back in time to watch some communist TV. From news programmes that were nicknamed The Biggest Lie to incredible dramas and kids shows. This is the fascinating story of a nation told through its TV screens. This is an incredible tale of media censorship, of creativity, repression and resilience. It's a story that's never been told before, so let's tell it now. This is TV in Communist Poland. But first, a quick history, because Poland's 20th century is one of the most dramatic national stories in modern history. So after 123 years of complete erasure from the map, Poland re-emerged on the 11th of November 1918 as the guns of the First World War fell silent. It then had to fight on several fronts. It defeated the Red Army invasion in 1920, only to be invaded again in September 1939, first by Hitler, then by Stalin. 6 million Poles, 1 in every 5 citizens, died in the war, the highest proportion of any nation. In 1945, the West abandoned Poland to Stalin's grip, and Soviet-installed communists seized total power through terror, rigged elections, and the persecution of the anti-communist underground. Full Stalinism ruled until 1956, when workers' protests forced a partial thaw. Decades of stagnation, debt, and repression followed. In the 1980s, dissent continued to grow, and in 1989, facing economic collapse, the regime negotiated. On the 4th of June, Solidarity won a landslide in partly free elections, and that September, Poland elected its first non-communist prime minister in the Eastern Bloc. Poland's peaceful revolution triggered the fall of communism across Europe, and helped bring down the Soviet Union itself. A country that had been erased for 123 years became the spark that ended half a century of communism. So TV officially began in Poland in 1938 with experimental broadcasts, and regular programming launched in 1952 with one state channel, Telewizja Polska. From that day until 1989, Polish TV was one of the most tightly controlled propaganda machines in the entire Soviet bloc. Everything, news, films, even cartoons, passed through the party's censorship office. Only after the June 1989 elections did independent journalists enter the building. And in just 37 years, Polish TV went from a brand new medium to the Communist Party's most important mouthpiece, and then, almost overnight, to the voice of a free nation. This is such a fun story, so if you're ready, let's watch some Polish TV. We're going to start with what was one of the most iconic and arguably most hated TV shows in Poland. This is Dziennik Telewizyjny, translated as The Daily Journal, and this was the main evening news programme of communist programming, airing every day until 1989.
Konferencja sprawozdawczo-wyborcza Organizacji Partyjnej Śląska i Zagłębia. Na salę obrad serdecznie witamy przybywa pierwszy sekretarz...
For over 3 decades, this programme was not simply a newscast. It was the voice of the Polish Communist Party, delivered to every home that owned a TV set. Now, every single word on this news show was controlled from the top. All of the scripts had to pass through the party's press department and the state censorship office. Nothing could be broadcast without multiple stamps of approval. All journalists and editors on the Daily Journal were vetted party members.
Everyone, so super quick pause in this video because I want to tell you about something that has been an absolute game changer for my online setup. This is private internet access, or PIA for short. They're sponsoring this video, and honestly, if you're not using a VPN yet, you're basically leaving your door open to the internet, which is a bit terrifying. So look, browsing online without protection is like sending a postcard with all your secrets secrets written on it. Anyone along the way can read it. Your laptop, your phone, whatever device you're on is constantly sharing data that hackers, your ISP, or even nosy networks can snoop on. That's where PIA comes in. It is a super straightforward app that hides your IP address and wraps your entire connection in an encrypted tunnel, keeping your info locked down tight. Whether you're on public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop, an airport, or even at home, hackers can easily grab your passwords, keystrokes, or personal stuff if you're not protected. PIA shields all of that by routing your traffic through their top-tier servers. It's like having bulletproof armor for your data. So I've been using it myself, and honestly, it is the best VPN there is. But it's not just about security. PIA lets you bypass those annoying geo restrictions too. Streaming services like Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime have different shows depending where you are.
So, if you're watching this in the US, you can't watch Friends on Netflix. You'd need to buy a whole separate subscription. But with PIA, you can just switch your location to the UK and watch Friends on Netflix right now. No additional subscriptions or charges.
And just one subscription covers an unlimited amount of devices. Seriously, protect your whole family or all your gadgets worldwide without extra fees. And PIA is the most transparent VPN out there with over 30 million downloads. They have a strict no logs policy that's been proven in court multiple times, so they never store or record your data. And here's the icing on the cake. For Joshua Perry Parker viewers, PIA has hooked it up with an exclusive deal. You can snag an 83% discount, bringing it down to just $2.03 a month, plus you'll get 4 extra months completely free. So head over to piavpn.com/Joshua Perry Parker to grab that offer and start protecting your online world today. And now, back to the video.
Spod znaku Merkurego
You're watching a later clip now from the 1970s. Negative stories in Poland were simply ignored, and almost every single report was about how great the state was and how prosperous communist Poland was. This particular report is informing viewers that state cooperative shops have served over 17 million rural Poles with daily deliveries of food, clothing, household goods, and even toys. It also features young salespeople who have benefited from recent wage hikes and speaks of the party's optimistic plans for modernisation. Now, what's interesting about this clip is there's no mention of shortages or hardships which were in fact typical of this era.
Tego, co chce na miejscu, pojedzie po zakupy do domu w centrum. I choć warunki lokalowe wiejskiego handlu odbiegają jeszcze daleko od doskonałości,
the reality is that, particularly in the later years of communist Poland, there was a shortage of goods, and many people struggled to find daily essentials. But you wouldn't know it from watching this newsreel. And for this reason, this show was hated by millions across Poland, and its official nickname was The Biggest Liar.
Ale o kotarze można było pomyśleć.
At times of particular political crisis, such as when martial law was declared to try and control growing dissent, the newsreaders were replaced by uniformed officials live on screen reading out army decrees as the army took physical control of the broadcasting centre.
O coraz bardziej normalnym rytmie pracy załóg zdecydowanej większości zakładów. Wytężona praca trwała we wszystkich fabrykach zgrupowanych w Zjednoczeniu Przemysłu Maszyn Górniczych Polmak w Katowicach.
The content on the Daily Journal followed a rigid, predictable pattern. First were usually lengthy reports about the wise leadership of the First Secretary and the Politburo. Then stories of industrial and agricultural triumphs, record harvests and overfulfilled plans, followed by attacks on imperialist enemies abroad and anti-socialist elements at home. Only the weather forecast at the end was considered reliable.
Pracują załogi przygranicznej stacji PKP w Geniuszach i Siemianówce w województwie białostockim.
Znajdujemy się w tej chwili w hali montażu rozdzielnic ogniostrzelnych. Są to rozdzielnice przeznaczone dla kopalń gazowych naszego
And as true as night follows day, our first story is about the successes of this factory.
Elektryczną wszystkich urządzeń kopalni.
The hilarious thing about the Daily Journal is that everyone knew it was a lie. In fact, people would actually watch the show to see what the state was trying to cover up and hide. If the news told you the shops were all full, that meant there were shortages. If they told you martial law was being implemented peacefully, that meant there was violence. It was all one big, carefully manufactured lie. They know they're lying. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, and yet they still lie. Here's a final clip from 1989 reporting on elections in Poland. Love a bit of 80s music. So, after the Communist Party were ousted, this show vanished, and it was replaced by independent journalists with freer reporting. Today, those in Poland who remember this show remember it as one of the clearest examples of communist propaganda in the country, or, as everyone simply called it, the biggest lie. But now, onto something a bit lighter.
Płynął strumyk przez zielony las, a przy brzegu leżał...
This is Gwiazdy Estrady, translated as Stars of the Stage. And this was one of the most popular and longest running entertainment programmes on Polish TV throughout the 1960s and well into the 1970s. It was your classic socialist era variety show that aired roughly once a month. Okay, I have to be honest, I kind of like these early variety shows. There's just something really wholesome about them, and I just kind of want to join in with the party. So each episode was built around a single star or a small group of well-known performers from Poland or other Eastern Bloc countries. The format was simple but effective. The chosen artist would present a 30 to 45-minute mini-concert featuring their biggest hits, new songs, light-hearted sketches and sometimes short dance numbers. Okay, she's good fun. I really like her. Let me know who she is in the comments. Is it just me, or were people just genuinely more talented in the 60s and 70s? The programme was deliberately light, apolitical and family-friendly, offering rare moments of glamour and escapism in an otherwise grey decade. Because it showed genuine talent and usually left out heavy propaganda, viewers trusted and loved it. Oh, it's all gone a bit dramatic. So another popular music show in Poland was this one. This is Krajowy Festiwal Piosenki Polski. Yes, I'm sorry for my Polish, which translates as a national festival of Polish song.
Nastroje, czyli wieczór, co się składa z tekstów, które się na ogół zna, źle jak ze mną.
So this was an annual music show in Poland where people voted for their favourite Polish song of the year. This particular episode you're watching now is from 1977, and this one marked a turning point in the festival's history, because for the first time the event was fully organised and broadcast by Telewizja Polska, transforming the festival into a large national TV spectacle with elaborate staging, choreography and tightly controlled show segments.
Lub pretensje i kłopoty, a ja mam co? Światowe życie! Tak jest, szum i gwar.
Że wśród ludzi ja tu po prostu jestem, po prostu jestem.
Check out this poor girl, looking like she just wants to be left alone.
Jolo, jolo, przewiska, jej oczy śnią.
Jak dobrze rano wstać, za tych chwil.
La 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 la.
Well, they're loud, aren't they? So 1977 became a particularly infamous year for the contest, and that was because of a well-publicised conflict between two of Poland's most popular singers of the time, Maryla Radowicz and Ursula Suspinska. So, Suspinska, who was traditionally a solo performer at the piano, surprised audiences by appearing with two backing vocalists, which was a format that Radowicz often used, in a white outfit and hat, and performed her hit number. However, Radowicz, then dressed in black with her own chorus and hat, stormed the stage behind her and started mimicking her and doing a deliberate parody of Suspinska's routine. I love this. Radowicz is literally mimicking Suspinska on screen. The drama of it all. The tensions then escalate, and this leads to an infamous hat fight between the two stars live on stage. Now, to me, that all looks staged and set up, but there have been conflicting accounts of whether that was real for years and years, and the two stars have never confirmed whether it was real or not. But it served its purpose, because in 1977 Poland, this was pretty much all anybody was talking about. And hey, 40 years later, some British guy on YouTube is still debating whether it was real or not. Anyway, I love these old variety shows. They give such a fantastic insight into the music and culture of the time, and there were some pretty awesome songs in 1977, including that one you just heard by Suspinska. But now, let's move on.
Piosenka jest dobra na wszystko. Piosenka na drogę za śliską. Piosenka na stopy za niską. Piosenka pod...
So this was probably the classiest and most intelligent show during the whole history of communist Poland. This is Kabaret Starszych Panów, translated as the Cabaret of the Elderly Gentlemen. And this was a unique black and white TV cabaret created and performed by Szybora and Wazowski, who starred as two exquisitely polite elderly gentlemen. The show featured razor-sharp sketches, linguistic fireworks, and unforgettable songs that mix jazz, tango, and pre-war nostalgia.
Dobry wieczór. Nie wiem, czy Państwo sobie nas przypominają.
Czy był już ktoś przed tobą? Nie pamiętam, nie pamiętam. Naprawdę uwierz w to, bo nie pamiętam, nie pamiętam. Genialny czy bogaty, czy...
Mądry bądź, skąd byś sił na to nie miał wziąć? Ponad skromny twój umysł.
Look, you pretty much have to be Polish to understand this show, and that's because so much of the comedy relies on clever word plays and puns, which was completely lost on a non-Polish speaker like me, but I did enjoy the songs in it. Now, with only one state channel available, pretty much the entire country watched this. Streets would be empty, and dozens of lines instantly became part of everyday Polish speech. Its refined humour, melancholy charm and sheer artistic flair made it an immediate national treasure that is still regularly rebroadcast and quoted 6 decades later. Episodes of this show have millions and millions of views on YouTube. The brilliant thing about this show was that it subtly mocked communist bureaucracy, shortages and ideological absurdities through gentle surrealism, euphemisms and nostalgic longing for a long-lost, elegant Poland. The show never directly attacked the Communist Party. Its satire was subtle, but clear. It was, in many ways, a veiled rebellion, wrapped in impeccable taste and delivered by two old gentlemen. This programme was quiet cultural resistance and was tolerated by the authorities who perhaps didn't quite understand it and adored by a nation that did.
A tu lwica, to nie w łzach. Robi nam się strasznie głupio, bo ten lew szuka trupion.
Więc czy by nie lepiej już na rybę?
But now we're going to turn to the bizarre and wonderful world of children's TV.
Na ryby.
I dlatego teraz opowiemy wam taką jedną domową bajeczkę.
This is Yaset Agatka, and this is a groundbreaking kids show that aired all the way back in 1962 to 1973. The show was broadcast as part of the iconic Dobranocka bedtime slot, and this TV show is the first true Polish show for kids. The show features simple finger puppets, as you can see on screen. There's Yaset and his wiser, more responsible older sister, Agatka. They're made from simple painted wooden balls, and they're placed on gloved hands.
Był sobie raz, to nie mogę zacząć, bo przecież ten gąsior wcale
I absolutely love how simple this is. It's so cute. So each short episode follows their everyday adventures, curious questions about the world, and gentle lessons on friendship, behaviour and discovery. Now this show holds immense historical importance because it pioneered the Dobranocka tradition that became a national ritual. Families across Poland would gather around their TV every evening in an era when television was still a luxury. In communist Poland, this show not only entertained but also subtly educated millions of kids, becoming a cultural phenomenon.
Gąsior także wrócił. O, jeszcze nawet trochę soku dla nas zaoszczędził.
Na dobranoc.
Okay, so this is another cute show. This is Misiu, known internationally as Teddy Floppy Ear, and this is a beloved Polish stop-motion animated series that aired from 1975 to 1987. The title character is this guy, a kind-hearted teddy bear with one floppy ear. I know, he's so cute. So each episode follows simple, everyday adventures focused on friendship, kindness, helping others, and learning small life lessons. And each episode ends with the bear going to sleep. This show was perfect for sending your kids off to sleep. The series became a massive cultural icon in communist Poland, evoking profound nostalgia today. It was exported to over 20 countries. I'm told it was big in Finland, Germany and even Japan, and it is one of the most enduring symbols of Polish childhood today, representing warmth and innocence. In this particular episode, he's going on a picnic with his friends. I absolutely love stop motion generally, and this is so well executed. It's a really, really warm, wholesome, and just kind of charming show. It's so well made. I love the orchestration as well. It's just brilliantly executed and it's just super, super cute. No night, floppy teddy bear. Now, every Pole watching this video is screaming at me, wondering why we're 22 minutes into a video about Polish TV and we haven't yet mentioned these guys. So now, everybody, here is Bolek and Lolek.
Basic.
Bolek and Lolek is probably the most famous kids TV show of them all. Each episode features the adventures of two mysterious brothers, Bolek and Lolek, as they embark on imaginative exploits, doing things like exploring the Wild West, travelling the world, competing in sports, or inventing gadgets. So this show holds tremendous importance as Poland's most internationally successful cartoon. It was exported to over 100 countries and provided escapist fun during the communist era when real travel was restricted. It basically allowed kids to visit exotic places through animation. This is a staple of Polish pop culture. It's inspired toys, stamps, and there are even monuments in Poland to Bolek and Lolek. So Bolek and Lolek really reminds me of Tintin, although I'm not sure which came first, who copied who. But anyway, this show is again brilliant. I love the animation, I love the colours, and each episode is just so feel good and happy. It's just a really well made, executed cartoon, and I can see why it was so popular across Eastern Europe. So, as well as homegrown shows, Polish TV also aired many exports from across Eastern Europe, including popular shows like New Pogody and Pat and Matt. You can see those featured in my other videos on TV in the Soviet Union and TV in Czechoslovakia. Make sure you go check those out once you finish watching this one. So while cartoons and puppetry dominated Polish kids TV, there were also some live action shows, such as this one. I do love a bit of 80s synth music. So this is 5, 10, 15, a magazine-style kids show that aired from 1982. So each episode would feature different segments, including games, interviews, and educational life lessons.
Sztuka konwersacji, wiadomo, tam siedzi trzech.
So in this particular episode, you're watching a segment called Blind Date, where the girl called Anya is conducting a fun, light-hearted blind date interview with 3 boys. Jarek, Norbert, and Hubert, great names. So she's asking them questions to learn about their personalities, such as how they'd prepare for a party, to which one responds that he would make sandwiches with ham, chives, parsley, and lettuce. Yum, and also asking them about vocabulary. So, can they define what a cricketer is?
Norberta.
Nie wiem, nie zdecydowałam się jeszcze.
Aha, a myślałeś o czymś może? Czy jeszcze o niczym? Nie. Czyli co? Potrzebne są nam 4 bilety, tak?
Tak.
4 bilety do kina.
So, in the end, Anya actually chooses all 3 boys, as you do, and decides to take all 3 of them on a group outing to the cinema.
Teraz zobaczymy, czy Ania rozpozna, który z was jest Hubertem.
Ten.
No rzeczywiście. Niesamowite. A miłą niespodzianką.
So Telly Rannick, or Telly Morning, was another kids' TV magazine programme, and one of the longest running shows in the history of TVP. It premiered in 1972 and aired mostly on Sunday mornings, becoming a staple of childhood in communist-era Poland. So the format was a live-action variety show for kids, and it featured cartoons, educational segments, arts and crafts, games, interviews, music, and it often included reports from young correspondents. Now, there were sometimes moral and educational lessons thrown in, which all had subtle socialist undertones.
Podręcznika do klasy 6 i tej oto kasety.
Western cartoons galore on Telly Rannick. Now, this show also helps us tell a particularly poignant moment in Poland's history, because on December the 13th, 1981, when kids woke up to turn on Telly Rannick, they saw something else.
obywatelki i obywatele. Wielki jest ciężar odpowiedzialności, jaka spada na mnie w tym dramatycznym momencie polskiej historii. Obowiązkiem moim jest wziąć tę odpowiedzialność. Chodzi o przyszłość Polski, o którą moje pokolenie walczyło na wszystkich frontach wojny i której oddało najlepsze lata swego życia. Ogłaszam, że w dniu dzisiejszym ukonstytuowała się Wojskowa Rada Ocalenia Narodowego. Rada Państwa w zgodzie z postanowieniami Konstytucji wprowadziła dziś o północy stan wojenny na obszarze całego kraju.
Perhaps nothing sums up Poland's turbulent history better than this. Kids on Sunday morning woke up not seeing their normal favourite cartoon, but a speech announcing martial law. For many kids and adults, the absence of Teleranek became a shocking symbol of the regime's crackdown, marking the end of normal Sundays as they knew it. I also love that whenever a military general appears on screen and says, "This is not a coup," you can pretty much be guaranteed that it is, in fact, a coup. Anyway, we're moving on to the last part of this video, so we'll take a look at quiz shows and then Polish TV dramas.
Wojskowa Rada Ocalenia Narodowego nie zastępuje konstytucyjnych organów władzy.
Possibly the most underwhelming graphics ever. So this is Wielka Gra, translated as The Grey Game, and this is Poland's longest running quiz show and, in my view, the most boring. So in this show, contestants demonstrate deep knowledge in a specialised field, such as history or literature. In this particular episode, it's questions about classical music.
Ilustrowane muzyką będzie to oczywiście muzyka Straussa, którą Strauss wspólnie skomponował ze swoim bratem Józefem. Po wysłuchaniu proszę podać tytuł tego.
The show was very prestigious, and I guess it's similar to Mastermind or University Challenge in the UK, and I'm told this show was pretty popular. Although personally I struggled to stay awake through an episode, so let's crack on.
Niech Państwa te 3 złote nie dziwią, tu jest Wielkopolska.
This game show, however, I love. This is Turniej Miast, translated as Tournament of the Cities. And in this show, teams from different Polish cities compete in live challenges, like tractor races, typing contests and knowledge quizzes.
Występują w Polsce i już koncertowali w NRD.
Coś się zdarzy, co zdarzyć ma, w którą stronę skieruje los.
So, as well as the competition element, each episode would showcase a little bit of the culture of the particular city we were visiting.
Chcę też wiedzieć, co jutro zdarzy się.
Słońce już żeśmy je powitali. Deszcz ostatni padał wczoraj.
So these two fashion icons are letting you know about this week's challenges. And let's just say they're a tad bizarre.
Zatem uwaga, start!
Proszę Państwa, na marginesie warto poinformować, że obaj panowie związani są ze sportem. Pan Smykowski...
Okay, that's actually a great tactic. So in this particular challenge, the teams are both on roller skates, and I think they have to prepare and lay this table. Look guys, I don't really know what's going on here, but I am completely here for it.
Proszę Państwa, różne techniki, różne technologie nakrywania stołu na 10 osób. Wszystko oczywiście zostało przygotowane stosownie wcześniej. Rodzina z Wągrowca ma...
So this game show is so good because not only would you learn a bit about each Polish town every week, by the way, Poland looks beautiful, but they, man down, but they would also have serious challenges and knowledge quizzes alongside the funny ones like this one.
Tak, goście...
Kilka konkurencji ponownie na antenie Lubartów. Prosimy bardzo.
Jeszcze kilka konkurencji, a ta najbliższa to...
Another challenge later on saw the teams trying to install a door, and having watched my dad try to put a door up, I can honestly see why this would be a challenge.
w futrynach ich nie ma. Dwie techniki, jak państwo widzą. Tata z Lubartowa zaczyna to robić na oko. Rodzina...
I genuinely love this show. Honestly, I could watch hours and hours of it. Not only does it showcase Poland and the individual towns, but it's also just quite frankly bizarre, completely unhinged, and well, it's just great fun. I'm so sad that the UK never did its own version of this show because, well, I would have absolutely loved it growing up. But anyway, let's move on to the final part of this video now, and Polish dramas.
Deszcze niespokojne.
This is Czterej, pancerni, EPS, apologies for my Polish, which translates to 4 tank men and a dog. And this is a landmark show from the 1960s which follows a tank crew plus their loyal dog in the 1st Polish Army during World War II. So this show is pretty epic, and the crew's adventures span from forming in Serbia to battles across Poland, Germany and Czechoslovakia. The show blends action, humour, romance and camaraderie as they fight the Nazis. It's a really well-made show with fantastic production values, and I can completely see why it was massively popular. And plus, the dog is also super cute. The show is packed with action scenes, and it aired widely in the Eastern Bloc and remains a cultural icon today, and I can completely see why. The series also heavily supported the communist narrative by portraying Poles and Soviets as the brothers in arms against Nazis, justifying the regime's Soviet alliance and downplaying any historical tensions. For example, there's no mention in the show of the 1939 Soviet invasion, the Katyn massacre, or any deportations. This subtle propaganda glorified the Soviets and the Polish Communist Party. But really, to be honest, most people just watched it because it was a really well-made and entertaining drama.
Co się stało? Nie, nic.
Finally, this is Janosik, a classic adventure show from 1973. This programme portrays Janosik as a Robin Hood-like figure, and the episodes follows his band's adventures robbing the wealthy nobility to help the oppressed poor. The show is filled with action, humour, romance and themes of justice. The locations and settings of this show are absolutely beautiful, and it achieved immense popularity as a cult classic in communist-era Poland. This show was incredibly popular and is considered a cult classic in communist-era Poland. It drew massive audiences. They loved its thrilling sword fights, the scenic mountain locations, the catchy folk music, and the lead character became a bit of a sex symbol across Poland. You can probably tell why.
Daruj mu, przecież on nic takiego nie uczynił.
Weź pan, no proszę wejść do karosy.
In this particular episode, Janosik gets captured and then has to escape. Now, this show was absolutely pure adventure escapism. It's all Robin Hood, it's all colourful, it's filled with action and humour, it's beautifully shot, and, well, it's just kind of great to watch. You can watch episodes of it subtitled in English on YouTube, and I highly recommend you do. Go on, Janosik, get them. Now, obviously, the overall theme of the show of taking from the rich to give to the poor was pretty much bang on with communism. So while that neatly aligned with the state's philosophy, that wasn't really why the show was made or why people watched it. They watched it simply because it was hugely entertaining and visually stunning. I hope you enjoyed this journey through communist-era Polish TV. I was hugely impressed by the sheer variety and quality of the programming, especially the kids shows and dramas, which were easily on par with anything the West was producing at the time. What really struck me while researching this video was how, aside from the blatant propaganda in the Daily News Journal, the rest of the lineup seemed to mostly sidestep overt communist ideology on the surface. Make no mistake though, every single show, every script was vetted and approved by the Communist Party. Any hint of criticism towards the regime or the Soviets was strictly forbidden. Yet, the creative minds in Polish TV didn't let that crush their spirit. They churned out truly awesome programs anyway. This was a nation under brutal media censorship, but the ingenuity and the unyielding resilience of the Polish people shone through in every frame. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from this video. No matter how hard you try to oppress and silence them, the Polish people will always find a way to triumph in the end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also become a channel member to help support the channel. We'll see you next time.